everyone, Dallin and Carrie from our home in Utah. I hope you enjoyed the holiday season. I want to preface this message, our first life lesson message of 2015, by simply stating that we are not experts. We are going to simply share some of the experiences of our lives that have shaped who we are today in hopes that it can be a blessing to other people. And like I stated previously, we are looking forward to hearing your life lessons and giving music to your song. And because you're going to be able to impact people that we're not going to be able to reach. And this is all about a community of people sharing their experiences in hopes that we can bless others in this journey called life. So as I reflected during the holidays about this first message of 2015, I thought about building a foundation. When we built our home, we have a lot of pillars on our home, and were it not for those pillars, this home would not stand. And so it is with life. We spend so much time designing our homes and our cars and our business careers. Do we spend as much time forming the foundation for our individual lives? Because that's who we are. We're going to move away from this home someday. We're going to graduate from college, and we're going to change careers. So we should be spending more time on ourselves and building the pillars of our own lives. So I thought about the foundation of a life. And it took me back to many, many years ago. In fact, 37 years ago this week, I jumped on a plane and left Salt Lake City for Paris, France. My first commercial flight. Carrie was not captaining the flight that day. She was 9 years old that day. So I went to Paris, and from Paris to Jordan, and from Jordan to Cairo, Egypt, where I swear that the gas pedal of every vehicle is attached to the horn because it's absolute craziness in Cairo. It was 37 years ago, and it remains that way today. It's loud. But it was interesting, and for a farm boy from Idaho, to go from Idaho to Cairo was, should we say, a cultural shock. And from Cairo to Jordan, and from Jordan we took a we took a bus from Jordan to Israel. And I'll never forget looking up at Jerusalem and driving in that bus up to Jerusalem. You know, before I thought Jerusalem was in the desert. It's not. They actually get some snow and quite a bit of rain in Jerusalem. It's pretty high in altitude compared to, say, where the Dead Sea is. And for the next 6 months, I spent time from Jerusalem to going down to the Red Sea, to the Dead Sea, to Galilee, and I had a life-changing experience. One of those mornings of those 6 months, from January to June of 1978, we climbed Mount Sinai, what was traditionally referred to as Mount Sinai. No one knows for sure exactly where it is, but this was one of the sites that they believe Moses scaled the mountain and came back down from that mountain with 10 commandments. So I scaled it that morning, got up I think about 1 o'clock in the morning with the group that I was with, about 60 other college students, and we got to the top, and it was frigid cold that morning before the sun came out. But a few hours of cuddling together and to try to keep our bodies semi-warm, all of a sudden the sun began to rise in the east, and it was a magnificent sight that I will never forget. And I imagined what it must have been like about 3,500 years ago earlier for Moses to go high into the mountains and there commune with God. By the way, these messages, these life lessons are about our lives. This is not about being politically correct. I certainly do not wish or hope to offend anyone, but I am going to speak my truth. Carrie will speak her truth, and when you speak and share your life lessons, you'll be speaking your truth. So with that caveat, I will proceed. But I thought back then, as I have thought many times over the last 37 years, what it must have been like to be Moses on top of that mountain and commune with God and come down from that mountain with the plates. That's my truth. I believe that really happened. 6 months prior to going to Israel, roughly, I had traveled with some friends to hear from a leader in our church, and he gathered a group of students, probably 100 students that day, and he said something like this: over the next 5 minutes, I am going to teach you the 10 Commandments in a way that you'll never forget them as long as you shall live, if you'll repeat them each day for the next 30 days. And so I thought, hey, I'm not the best of students. In fact, I wasn't a good student. But I sat there, and all of a sudden I perked up, and I thought, I'd like to learn that. Yeah, I'd like to learn the 10 Commandments. I've heard about them, and I think I know some of them. It would be nice to learn them all and be able to repeat them so that when the time comes, I can teach them to others and our children and things like that once I get married. And And so over the next 5 minutes, he taught them to us. And guess what? It's been 38 years for that. I've never forgotten them. So my first life lesson today is about the 10 Commandments, because I think it lays a foundation for a successful life in every area of your life. So you ready? You may want to grab a pad of paper and a pen and write this down. I didn't, but you may want to. I'm going to teach them to you with key words, and then I'm going to ask you to repeat them every day for the next 30 days and then report back to me on whether or not you remember them. These were not 10 suggestions. These were not 10 disciplines. They are what he said they were. These are commandments. I like to think of these as not things that we can't do, but instead of a wise, loving Father who knows the beginning from the end and knows the sure path to happiness and how to avoid pitfalls. I mean, if you had a father and you're coming upon a canyon, he would probably say, make a very strong command to stop. And that's how I like to refer to these commandments. And as I think back on my life now of 38 years ago, hey, I have not been perfect in obeying those 10 commandments. But thank goodness the sun rises in the east every morning and gives us another chance to do better and to grow and fall down and stumble and get back up and grow and fall down and stumble. And I just believe that as long as we're trying to do our best, that God will make up the difference, and that's a life lesson for another day. But for a time and season such as this, I think we would be wise to learn from the ancients. So number one, the key word is one God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 2, the key word is zoo. You walk into a zoo and you see statues or images. To a zoo, thou shalt not worship graven images. 3, the key word is tree. Trees have roots. They have branches. They also have veins. 3, the key word is tree. Trees have veins. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. 4 is fort. Forts have holes in them. The old forts where they would stick their cannons to shoot the people who were coming to invade. Holy forts. 4 is fort. Holy forts. Thou shalt keep the Sabbath day holy. 5 is family. The head of the family is father and mother. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long. 6 is sticks. You know what happens when you hit someone over the head with a stick hard enough? You kill them. 6 is sticks. Thou shalt not kill. 7 is heaven. In order to get to heaven, we're told that we must remain pure. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 8 is gate. Gates are made out of a lot of different materials. Some gates are made out of steel. Thou shalt not steal. 9 sounds like lying. 9, lying. Thou shalt not lie, or thou shalt not bear false witness. 10, the key word is tent. Tents are used to cover things. Thou shalt not covet. So let's repeat them again. 1 is one. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 2 is zoo. Thou shalt not worship graven images. 3 is tree. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. 4 is fort. Thou shalt keep the Sabbath day holy. 5 is family. The head of the family is father and mother. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. 6 is sticks. Thou shalt not kill. 7 is heaven. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 8 is gate. Gates are made of steel. Thou shalt not steal. 9 is lying. Thou shalt not lie, or thou shalt not bear false witness. 10 is tent. Thou shalt not covet. These are 10 commandments that I believe are tried and tested. We're imperfect human beings. But if we have it in our subconscious, what these 10 commandments are, and if we repeat these key words and commandments each day for the next 30 days, I can just share with you my life experience. I've never forgotten them, and I try to remember them, and I try to live by them. And I believe that my life has been blessed as a result. So as we get 2015 started off, let's make a goal to build a solid foundation of our own lives. And it doesn't get much better than starting with the foundation of the really true, time-tested 10 Commandments. Carrie, do you want to add anything to that?
I agree. Amen.
Amen.
I'm good with it.
So until the next life lesson, God bless you and your families, and we'll look forward to hearing your story along our journey.